Okay, so let's start. Hello, everyone. So we are here for our first call on the IDM project. For those of you that don't know, IDM stands for Identity Manager. Is a project that started like, I would say, 1 month ago. And this is actually our first call. So it kind of makes sense for me to give a little bit of briefing or introduce the project. So I have here open in my computer. I will share it now. I have here some kind of our concept, our paper that kind of explains the point of the project. So in summary, what we are trying to build is an identity wallet that wants to embrace not only multiple identities, but also from different DID methods. And DIDs stand for decentralized identifiers, and is a new spec that is being written by many people to actually create self-sovereign identifiers or identities based on DIDs. Also, we are going to use verifiable credentials to enhance these DIDs, because these DIDs are just regular strings. So we need somehow to enhance them with things like our name, our emails, and so on and so forth. And also, you're going to embrace other standards that are built upon DIDs, such as DID-auth. And in this case, the DID-auth allows us to prove that we own or we control the DID that we are presenting. So essentially, IDM embraces all of these standards to create a unified and universal identity wallet. And in brief, it's split in 3 components or 3 different parts. The first one being the wallet itself, or 4 components, I'm sorry. So the first one is the wallet itself, and it's like the low-level code that actually stores your keys and manages your keys, stores your credentials and manage them, and all of that. And then we have the wallet UI, which is, a user interface for the wallet, for you to see your credentials, manage your credentials, create new identities, and so on. And then we have the client, which is someone that wants to receive or wants to authenticate with you in order to know who you are, what are your credentials, and many of those interactions that many dApps need. For instance, signing is also an interaction that many dApps need to do. And then finally, we have the bridge component, which essentially bridges a wallet with a client. This is necessary because there are a lot of varieties or various ways that a client might want to interact with a wallet. For instance, a dApp might be installed and being used in your browser as well as your wallet, but your wallet might also live in your iPhone or your Android phone. And these are completely different scenarios. So we want to abstract the way they connect to each other via the bridge, basically. So having that, I think it's, the introduction is pretty much done at this point. If you have any questions, you can fill them in these notes documents. There's a section here which is point 7. So if you have any questions, you can put them down here. And by the end of this call, we'll have like 10 minutes reserved time for reader questions and have some answers as well. So let's follow the agenda. I've already started recording. Please, everyone, put your name or your GitHub handle in the list of attendees if you haven't already. Also, I would like for a volunteer to take notes. Does anyone volunteer himself to or herself to take notes?
I think Paulo could do it.
As you,
no problem. I'll do it.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. Like, this is the weirdest part of the meeting. So also, please add items to the agenda if you haven't already. We already have filled a lot of the points. So let's keep going. And finally, round of introductions and updates. So let's start by the order that's in that attendees list. So starting with Paulo. So please introduce yourself a little bit and also give your updates as well.
Okay, so hi guys, I'm Paulo. I live in Porto. Basically, I'm currently working really close to André Cruz. We are working together in the development, mostly on the backend part of the IDM. Basically, we are currently developing parts of the IDM wallet. And I think we are going to, in the next sprint, we are going to focus on the IPID module. So what I concluded during this sprint was basically I finished together with Andre the IDM concept paper. We published it just for you guys to see, and we asked for a couple of reviews, and the feedback we got was really good. Also, we developed the JS IDM wallet vault. Basically, I don't know if I should explain what the vault is, but basically the vault is the one responsible for your log types. Your log types are, for example, a password, a passphrase, your fingerprint, or your Face ID, for example, that you will use to lock the wallet. Basically, we did it. We just add support to the passphrase lock, but in the future we are aiming to add, for example, the fingerprint. That's our next step. The JS IDM wallet storage, we did it. So basically, we are developing the JS based wallets, IDM wallet, and this package should work in your browser, but also in a node environment. So we are currently just aiming to do it in the browser. For example, just for a proof of concept, and the only storage that we aim to use right now is the local storage of the browser. But in the future, we are aiming to support multiple ways of doing it. Also, I developed a little React demo, just a demonstration of what the vault is and how it interacts with the storage, and how we should set up our vault, how the lock screen works, and the wallet itself. Currently, it doesn't have any functionality, but just for a quick demo. I'm also doing in the moment the vault testing. So basically, we did all the tests, but just the unit tests for the vault are missing. And as I said, in the next sprint, we will implement the JS IPID module and implement the DID scope in the JS IDM wallet. So this is basically it. I don't know if I should do the demo now, or André, should I do the demo now? Or
I was muted. I was saying that is in the last part. So
okay, so we
the updates for now.
Okay. So this is mainly it.
Okay, thank you very much, Paulo. So heading on to the next person, Pedro Miguel.
Okay, hi guys. My name is Pedro. Some of you might know me from the DDC working group, and maybe some of you don't know me at all. But okay, so I'm one of the front-end developers of this project. I am doing this with Gil, along with Gil. He will introduce himself in a minute. So we have been developing the storybook, and we have done the colors, typography, buttons. We have the primary, secondary, tertiary, and negative variants. Text input with password strength. So you have a password strength to indicate how strong your password is, and you will see. I will do a quick demo, and you will see how it works. We also have done the icon badge. Jill will talk about it, but badge is a kind of a word, but you will see later. We also have a feedback message, the slider to define how minutes you want your vault to be locked, and tooltip and model. So these are the components that are developed, and all the components are being reviewed. You have the link for the PR down below. And I am also developing the model layout component. So we have developed the model, but we are developing now the model layout. So what I'll do next is implement the setup locker user journey and also the lock screen user journey. These are the two main steps that I will be doing this sprint. And I think that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, thank you very much. By the way, I totally forgot to actually give opportunity to people to ask questions. So if you have any questions for Pedro right now, please do it. No questions? So does anyone have any questions for Paulo, which was the first one? No? Right, so another thing that I want to ask is for you to leave links in your notes. There are a couple of things mentioned here that have no links. For instance, Paulo, if you could have the link to the IDM wallet branch or something like that, it will be awesome for people to, you know, look at the code afterwards. So heading on, I think the next one is Gilles, correct? Gilles?
Yes. Hey guys, my name is Gilles. I'm working in Porto. So just a quick introduction. What I finished so far was helping Pedro with the implementation of the main components of the storybook. I worked mainly in the badge and the slider components and helped out however I could in the remaining components. I've also written the first version of the UI kit README. I don't have I didn't put the links here, but I will fix that after I'm done talking. So in progress, as Pedro said, the comments are currently being reviewed. Changes that are requested will be done. And the next tasks I will be working on are creating the logo and the feedback on both the button components, as well as providing Pedro with support as well.
Thank you very much, Gilles. Does anyone have any questions for Gilles? No? Right, so heading on, I think it's me, right? Yeah, it's me. So quick introduction. I'm André Cruz. My GitHub handle is Satazor. I've been working for the DDC working group in the latest weeks and months. And I also said that 1 month ago we kickstarted the IDM project. So I'm mainly responsible for driving these projects. And that's it. So in terms of my updates, basically I concluded the IDM concept paper, which was made, basically the concept paper was a continuation of another paper, which was an RFC that was made, I don't know exactly, but many months ago, I'll say in the last year as well, regarding the identity research on how to integrate identity in peer star applications. That paper was made by me, João Santos, as well as Pedro Teixeira. And this concept and the IDM itself is a continuation of that. It was peer reviewed by many people, and it landed on the repo. So if you want to read about the IDM project and how it's going to look. I will encourage you to read it. It's like really short. It's not that much pages. There are not many pages there. It's easy to read. So I encourage you to read it. Also, I've been working on the implementation. So I finished the implementation of the storage and vault scopes of the IDM wallet. And let me just say something. We have not only the concept paper, but also a specification that is still draft, but we are working on, defining the interfaces of the wallet. Like, for instance, when I say storage and vault, those are scopes well defined in the specification. So we are kind of implementing them right now. So I've implemented the storage and the vault scopes with the help of Paulo. And also, during these weekends, I have attended a Reboot Web of Trust 8, and this was a very productive event. I attended with Adin and with João Santos. Both of them are present here in this meeting. So I've met a lot of people, and by meeting a lot of people, there was actually 2 possible collaborations, or at least ideas, that I could exchange. For instance, there was a project called Symbol, which aims to offer identity for VR, virtual reality projects, which is also in the browser, and there's a lot of similarities here. The person behind the project is called Alberto. We actually made a paper together, but I will explain that afterwards. And also there was a conversation with the Veras one main leader, which is Mano. And also Mano kickstarted the DID spec itself and many other self-sovereign identities related subjects. So I talked with him. It was a lot of productive talks and conversations. Also, there are I took a lot of notes to follow up. There was a lot of knowledge being shared there. I took as many notes as possible, and will follow them up in the next few days. For instance, we actually got a demo of Shapi, which is essentially can be one type of bridge that we can implement on IDM. Also, there were people showing demos of WebAuth N, so that we can use things such as Touch ID and Face ID and stuff like that in the browser, which is awesome. In terms of output, I've worked on 2 papers. So I'm a co-author of 2 papers. The first one is related to IPID. So IPID has some issues that are explained in this paper and possible solutions. So we have worked on that. So I've worked on that. But bear in mind that both of these papers are really drafts. So there are a lot of to-dos there. But essentially, we kickstarted the papers there, and we will follow up on that later. And also, I created a draft paper with the help of João and Alberto, which is the ID key management on the browser, which is what we are doing here with IDM. So it's kind of related as well. In progress, I need to review a lot of tasks from the last sprint. Next steps, I will be implementing the GS IPID module with the help of Paulo. So this will be a JavaScript module that will work on the browser and also in Node.js as well. And next, I will also implement the DID scope in the GS IDM wallet module that will obviously use the GS IPID because we'll support, while we'll support many DID methods, we'll focus on the first one, which will be the IPID DID method. And I think that's all for me. Does anyone have any questions regarding what I said?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, David here. I just was curious when you said you implemented the scopes for storage and vault. I just want to know maybe a little bit more what that means.
Yeah. Okay. So if you go to this repo, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So PM IDM, there's a README there. including the concept and the specification. So when I say I'm implementing something, it means I'm implementing some scope on these documents. For instance, you have the storage, you have the locker, you have the DID scopes, and so on. So bear in mind that it's still draft. Okay, this is very drafty document, but we will evolve over time and make it more complete. For instance, by looking at the signature, you don't really know what the method will do, but we'll improve that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I just wanted to understand it's the actual like API design.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.
And by the way, all of the spec and the concept is open, meaning that anyone can implement their own identity wallet based on the same specification. Meaning that if there are 2, 3, 4, 5 identity wallets, in production, they will be interoperable because they will be all using the same specification. If that makes sense. So that's it. So more questions? No? All right, so heading on to the next one, which is Andrea Souza.
Hi guys, so I'm Andre. I'm working from Porto as well. I've been related with the Protocol Labs since the previous project, which was Discussify. I started working with André Cruz on IDM. I'm a designer and I'm working closely with the front-end team, which was already mentioned as Pedro and Gil. So for the IDM project, I prepared and have concluded the style guide for multiple components. They were already mentioned as well, the colors, typography, buttons, inputs, tags, all of sort of components that we extract from the current user flows. And yeah, they're already being implemented on the storybook. So yeah, I started that process. For the user flows, I already prepared the setup blocker, the lock screen, and the create identity, and the import identity as well. I'll have 3 demos to share afterwards through the InVision with a low fidelity prototype. So yeah, just to continue, I followed the track on the front end work with the storybook I already mentioned. Currently in progress, I have the iconography and the illustrations. It's a continuous process until the end of the app. It will be any sort of another icon that we need or another illustration will be worked by me and developed as well. So also I'm currently working on a high fidelity prototype for the modal variants. That means that all the animations between and transitions between multiple screens within flows such as the setup blocker, lock screen, create or import will be treated as a high fidelity as possible. So the front end team and even the end user could be aware of what's happening. I'm working as well regarding high fidelity prototype for the lock screen. It's crucial that it's a really simple flow because you will conceive the idea of having the app freeze a lot of times. You have a session time to lock the app. So I'm trying to match the animations as well, such as the final look for the app. So I don't have anything blocked for now. The next steps for me will be design and think about the shell of the app regarding features and the overall look and feel as well. So another thing that I will try to work on this sprint will be the profile / identity page. And then if there's a possibility to create the new branding for the code name that we had before, which is not right now Nomius. So I'll try to work on that on this sprint as well.
Yeah, just to clarify, so we have the IDM, which is the constant and the spec, and then we have the actual implementation of the spec, which will be called Nomius. So meaning that the final end product that the user will install will be Nomius. But as I said, many other people can actually implement their own wallet and give it different names, and they will be interoperable. So does anyone have any questions for André Souza? No? Cool. So heading on to the next person which is Doug.
I think Dirk already left.
Yeah, he left.
Has to run
Okay.
to another meeting. Yeah.
Okay, so next one is Adin. Do you have any updates?
I guess just briefly was at Rebooting Web of Trust, looking into social key recovery and how to do that. Getting that done is like the theory of what's the right way to get this stuff done is still a whiles out, which is fine because it's still a whiles away before IDM will need something like that. And other than that, I've been working on IPNS things, which is important because IPID relies on IPNS. And as the only DID I know about that doesn't require a blockchain, I'd like it to be really, really good to use and enough that even the blockchain folks will use IPID as their sort of secondary keys. Because they're cheap and easily replaceable and all that sort of stuff.
Cool. Does anyone have any questions for Adin? So to give you some context, Adin is also from the DDC, and we have had a lot of discussions this weekend about IPNS. And how to improve IPNS, and hopefully I will have some time, Adin, to review your document that you created on Google Docs. There are a lot of questions there or things there that are in my interest and in the interest of IDM. So I will give you some feedback, hopefully, in the next few days. Next up is João Santos. Do you have any updates, João? And also introduce yourself, of course.
Yeah, so I have like an introduction to make with no updates. So hi everyone, I'm João. As Andrea already said, I was one of the co-authors of the original IDM RFC, like way back like last year in the summer. I've also been a member of the Rebooting Web of Trust conference for like 2 years now, so I usually attend their conferences. And I attended this one with Andrea. And so right now I am analyzing the possibility of being like a contributor on the IDM project, probably focused on the interoperability with other DID methods, such as like VerisOne, for instance. Also another note, like more towards Adin, you might want to look at something called claim chain, which kind of does what you want to do about IPNS. So just take a note of that. They have like an academic paper which is very interesting. Yeah. Hello?
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks.
Okay. So I was saying to Paulo Santos to take notes because I think totally forgot to take notes. So if possible, Paulo, write the link that João said, so that anyone can follow that up later.
Yeah. Hey João, can you send me that link through a private message, please?
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on, I think it's Jim Pick. Jim, are you here?
Jim had to run to to another meeting. I think I'm going to run also soon.
Okay. So I think we are finished with the round of intros and updates. So we're going to have demos now. So perhaps we can start with the good stuff. I mean, not the good stuff in that sense that it's only the important stuff, but I mean, Adin must leave, so perhaps we can show some screens to Adin so that he can sense how IDM will look like before he leaves. So Andrea, can you show something what you up to in terms of?
So I'm the good part, right?
Not to say that other people are not.
I can share, Andrea. I don't have permissions to share. I don't know why.
Okay. So
maybe
can
you
you send me
stop.
the link or something?
No, maybe you can stop sharing your screen. Yeah, and then I can try.
I did it. I'm not saying that the other demos are not good. I'm just saying that it's more a visual thing. I was just messing around. There's more a visual thing, so
yeah, absolutely.
It's easier for people to understand what we'll be building.
Okay, I'll try to start with the setup blocker. I think this is the first screen. Yeah, it's mostly starts with the definition and inputs for the introducing a passphrase. Just okay. I'll try to run over the screens a bit fast since there are 3 demos, and then just to try to understand the flows and the overall look and feel applied to each screen. So this is the input component that Pedro was saying that he implemented already, the password strength. Error scenarios already predicted. Okay, now you're confirming your passphrase to advance and then set up your expiration lock with a slider that was Jill working on as component level. Please bear in mind that this is a really lo-fi prototype, so it's not the final end product, but just the overview of multiple screens. And yeah, setup blocker is just this one. So I'll run over for lock screen. It's really simple. You just need to type the passphrase already inserted, and then this will be like a timeout. And I'll go on the screen, the initial screen again. You need to type, and then you have a loading on the dots, which is your input, and everything will morph for a final animation where you can see the locker trying to be unlocked, and then yeah, we'll have a fade in for the page level. And now the most complex one, create identity. In this use case, we'll try to create a new ID. You have your DID methods exposed. You, for now, just have the IP ID possibility, so you need to continue without selecting any of the other ones. Define the person that you hire. You can be either a person or an entity, so there's a possibility to select organization. Of course, that the inputs and the screens towards that choice will be different. In this scenario, will be selected the person. I'll just press continue. Okay, I want to type my name. My name is Andrea. Automatically, the avatar will identify the initials of both names. It will upload an avatar. I can change it, of course, and continue. I need to set up my device, enter the device name, specify the type of device that I'm working right now, or I'm using, sorry. And I'm using a laptop for instance, and continue. This will be accommodated on the left-hand side. Enter the device name, then finished. Need to wait a bit so that the identity is created, and then yeah, it's against all the odds. Identity was created.
The copy is not final.
Yeah, just a playful copy as an end screen. So right now I want to back up my identity.
Or do it later, yeah. Or
do it later, of course. So I need to enter the passphrase. Sorry, I just jumped here a screen. Okay, enter the passphrase. There's a mistake here. You don't need the passphrase as well. This is just a confirmation to type it so you can enter the backup process. You need to save your paper key. You can either use it as a PDF file, some sort of being automatic, or do it manually. I will run over both processes. So you need to check here and select the download PDF. This will be prepared to you. The download has started. You can either print it, and the download was successful. The file was successfully downloaded. And right now, yeah, I could continue right here because if the PDF is on my side, I'm good. So, but here I need to check, do it manually so I can show you both scenarios. So I have the words here. I need to, I can copy them to clipboard. There's a detail here that will be different right now because I was using a checkbox to specify and describe that I've written down all the words, but this will be removed, and we have a new approach for this. and then continue. So to select my recovery key, I need to select the words 8 and 5 from the previous screen. I'm trying these two. I need to confirm, there was a mistake. That's not the two words corresponding to my recovery key. I'm selecting other two. This automatically replaces for a new set of words, and confirm, and yeah, your identity is secure. You can add another identity with the same flow or go to the home page. And yeah, that's it.
What were the two words thing? What was going on there?
It's for you to confirm that you written all the words.
Oh, just okay. Making sure you didn't user error it. Okay.
Yeah. For instance, Sealport has this kind of the same approach, and I was being like being pushed with a lot of notifications saying, "Hey, please back up your key," and I was like, "Okay, I'm not. This identity is is like temporary, so I will just dismiss this." And I try to just say I back up my key while I didn't, and that step appeared in my screen. I was like, okay, I can, because I really need to confirm the thing. So it's just for that purpose. Okay, any more questions for Andrea? Okay, let me just say a few things regarding the passphrase. We obviously know that users don't like passphrases. So we really want to embrace things like WebAuth N, which allows you to use your fingerprint to unlock your IDM wallet. So we are probably looking to that in the future. And also the paper key thing will probably not be the only way for you to back up your key. As Adin said, we are looking in the future to have things like social recovery and other methods to recover your key, so that you can be more, so they can sleep at night, basically. So adding on to the next demo, which will be Pedro, yeah?
Yeah, let me just share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet?
No.
No.
But I can see your face.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay. How about now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How can I remove this from? Okay. So what you will see here, maybe you have already seen because Souza or André already showed you. So here we have the colors, and some of them are not final yet. So Monza and Web Orange and Cornflower Blue, these are not final colors. We also have here typography. We have the headers and body copies and captions.
Pedro, let me just interrupt you. Can you really just say what Storybook is and what it allows us to do, just for people that are not familiar with it?
Okay. So we are building a Storybook just to build all the individual components, and then we will try to reuse them along on the app itself. So here you have the components, the individual components, and then on the app you can use them more than once. So it's a kind of how can I say, you can reuse the components, and this way it's easier. So the Storybook shows the components, and it's like a mirror of the style guide that Andrea's designed. So you have here the typography. We have a README file for each individual component, as you can see here. Let me show you the buttons. We have here all the variants of the buttons. This one is the primary one, secondary, and we have like over effect and select effect, as you can see. Tertiary, the same thing, -1, as you can see. And here we can play a little bit with the knobs. We can disable the button, and we can't do nothing on the button. Full width, and that's it. Okay, so text input. We have a text input component. Here, this is the simplest text input. Yeah, this is the default and the simplest one. So you can write something that you want. You can have a helper text here on the bottom left side. You can also have a feedback message, and this feedback message is also an individual component that I will show you in a minute. And here, this text input can have, it can receive a prop, and this prop will say that, okay, you now should show the strength indicator. And as you can see, it replaced the bottom border for 4 lines, and these lines, let me just fulfill. As you can see, these lines are filled with the color that will represent the strength value that you are passing to this component. You can also write something and show the password that you wrote here. Here we have all the icons. The logo icon is not the final one, and it will not be here, but we have all the other icons here, as you can see. I think we are missing, or I am missing, some of the icons that Sousa introduced in the.
So they sound that we're missing 2 icons.
Just two from the shell. It's the settings and the help. But
yeah,
that's okay.
Okay. Here is the badge. I don't know if Jill wants to talk about the badges or not.
I can. It's really short. You can interact with the badge in the default and badge grid. You can see the selected and unselected state. In the grid, you can see how they lay out. And in Knob Playgrounds, you can activate the disabled option that's received as prop. And you can also try writing more text inside, and you can see that it has a max width defined. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and we will use this component for the words that Adin asked André Sousa what for.
From the setup, yeah. And
yeah.
Sorry, from the create identity, yeah.
So here we have the feedback message that text input uses, as you can see here, this one. We have the feedback message. This component has some variants, small variant. As you can see, the text is small, the icon is also small, and we have the large variant, as you can see.
Pedro, can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
Really quick, but you need to, maybe it's better to try to do some incrementation between these scenarios, because the first one, the warning, and then the second one is so close to the first one, you can almost do not define which one is what.
Sure, I'll do it. Okay. So as you can see, the icon can be either on the left or on the right of the text. You can do this with, let me just show you. Here we have the text that we want. I can do it. So this component can be, the type of this component can be error or info. And if it is error, the text will be red, and also the icon will be also red. So, but if you choose info, you have here the color, it turns gray, and this is the default behavior of this component for these types, but you can also override it with class names.
Pedro,
So-
just a quick note. Can you be faster so that anyone can demo their
Okay, sure.
parts? Otherwise,
Sure.
we'll miss it.
Okay, here we have the slider with a fancy animation, as you can see. Yeah, very cool. Now we have here tooltip. As you can see, tooltip can be triggered, and you can pass the trigger event as, for example, a hover or a click. As you can see here, I need to click for this tooltip to appear, and also the model. You can see here the model that we will use for import identity or create identities.
Padding.
What?
Sorry?
You're mute.
It's missing the padding.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, he's still working on the model layout.
Yeah.
So.
And here is the model layout that I am currently working. So I will not show much of this, but here, picture this has steps, individual steps, and this word is one step, and this word is another step, and you will have like a continue button here that will do like this fancy animation, and you will see the next step here. So this is where I'm currently working, and for the demo, I think that's it. I don't know if anyone has questions.
All right, so I think there's no questions. So finally, the last demo is Paulo. Go ahead, Paulo. Can you stop sharing, Pedro?
Yeah, I'm trying. Okay.
So
Okay.
let me share my desktop really quick. Oh, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Tell me when, please.
Okay. Not yet. Okay, it's working.
And now? What now? Now? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I did was a very simple demo of what we already developed of the GS IDM wallet. So basically, this I didn't do any designs. So basically, André Souza designed everything. Pedro is currently working on the mod on the components, but I didn't use any of them. So this is just very basic. So what is this? Imagine that you are entering on Nomius for the first time. So basically, the wallet will be created, and the wallet will actually look into your storage and check if there's already a master lock defined. So basically, I think I already talked about this, but I will remember you guys. You can define multiple lock types as a way to unlock the wallet. So for now, the passphrase is the master lock type, and is the one that you always need to have at least one master lock type that can unlock everything in the wallet. So basically, the wallet currently looked for a master lock, and it didn't find any of it. So as you can see, we are currently using local storage, as I mentioned before, and our local storage is empty. So it asks us to set up our vault. So it needs a passphrase as its master lock. So I'll start by writing.
Don't write your password because
Okay, I'll write my password. So for example, what if I write my own name as a password? So as you can see, we are currently validating the passphrase, and the passphrase is not strong enough. And we can have some warnings. So for example, common names or surnames are easy to guess. So the user should follow this warning and don't use its name as a password. And we have some suggestions. So for example, add another word or two, and common words are better. So for example, what if I use IDM? It already is strong enough, or the algorithm we are using to check if the passphrase is strong enough already tell us that, okay, so this should be at least strong enough so that it's not that easy to guess. So I'll go in and I'll set this as my passphrase, and as you can see here, already our passphrase was stored in the local storage. So as you can see, we have the derived key. This is done with script. Script is a password-based derivation function. So basically, we are using this to encrypt a generated secret, and we are going to use that secret and use AES GCM sorry, to actually encrypt the passphrase and the secret with the secret. So basically, as you can see here, this is the ciphertext that was generated, and all the other stuff here, like parameters, salt, DID, is to be used as a way for us to check if the user, when the user will enter a passphrase to unlock, we are going to use these parameters to see if we get the same result, and to check if he can unlock the wallet.
Okay.
You want to say anything, André?
Yeah, just let me clarify something. So inside the vault, and the vault was previously named locker, and we are still undecided on the name, but essentially inside the locker, there's a secret that allows you to decrypt everything stored around your identity, like your credentials, like your name, your email, and credentials that you have, such as social proofs and so on. So essentially, you can lock this secret with various lock types. And in this case, what we're doing is the user puts a passphrase. We use script to derive a key, and with that key, we basically encrypt the secret within the vault with that derived key. That's basically what is happening here. So that's it. You can continue.
Okay. So after that, it asks us to set an expiration time. So for example, I'll set 1. What is this? This is like a timer that we will use. So imagine that you leave your PC open and you leave your chair, you go to the bathroom or something like that. You can define a time or a max time so that the wallet locks itself after that. So for example, I defined 1 minute, and after it reaches a minute time, it locks the wallet. So this is one of the features that we developed. Another thing is we can automatically set the max time in the settings. For example, I'm just waiting for the for the timer to go to 0, so you guys can see that it actually locks the app. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No. So basically, it locked. So, and this will be the lock screen that André Souza presented to you. That one that is a little bit more fancy than this one, with some animations and stuff, just a little bit. So basically here you will have a way to, right now we are currently only supporting the passphrase, but in the future you could unlock this, as André said, with the Face ID or with your fingerprint. But so I'll put a passphrase, a random passphrase, to see what happens. So basically, if I click enter, the passphrase is invalid. It was checked that the passphrase is invalid, but if I put the actual passphrase that we defined, we are in again in the wallet. So imagine that we set the max time to 10 minutes. The timer still counts as if the time set is bigger than the one in the timer currently, it doesn't reset itself. But we are thinking of a feature where every time you do an action, for example, if you do a click, if you move the mouse, if you do anything, the timer resets itself. So it means that you are using the wallet. So if you are using the wallet, you wouldn't expect the wallet to lock itself, right? So we are going to use interactions to restart the timer. But for example, if you set the time below the current one, it automatically will start from that time. So it doesn't get too much time that you didn't want it to do it. So we also have the lock button, so it can demonstrate that we can call the lock method anytime we want, or we can define it in some interactions. So we are going to lock the wallet, and that's it. We are now in the lock screen again. So this is mainly it. Do you guys have any questions? Hey.
Yeah, I was just curious. I wanted to suggest that you avoid any usage of local storage whatsoever, as it is synchronous. If you plan on storing any decent amount size of data, you will always have a synchronous call. So I would avoid it like the plague and move any storage into IndexedDB instead.
Yeah, at the moment we are using local storage because it was simpler, to be honest. But we have had discussions about using something like IndexedDB, not necessarily IndexedDB directly. There are a few modules that have a beautiful interface or a prettier interface to IndexedDB. Another possible module, how's that called, Paulo? The one from Google?
LevelDB?
LevelDB. We
LevelDB.
kind of looked into LevelDB as well. There's level up and level down modules for us to use in the browser, and those actually use IndexedDB as well. And they are a key value storage with nice features such as range queries, so you can search for keys that are within a certain boundary, which is kind of nice. For instance, we can store just identities as keys, and then we query them by using, by prefixing the keys, such as, for instance, DID/something, and then we can query starting from DID and ending on DID and the last alphanumerical character, and that gives us all the identities within the IDM. But we are kind of undecided yet. But yeah, that's about it.
I know that like IPFS, JS IPFS uses LevelDB, and then I was playing with it, and then I just went to Couch or to Pouch for stuff I was doing, and I found that to be really nice for IndexedDB usage. So
Also, let me just mention something, which is what is in the local storage. If you see in the screen, we're actually storing the algorithms we are using and the parameters. So that allows us, for instance, if we launch another version of IDM with a better algorithm, we can actually upgrade the algorithm, because we can compare what we used before to the newest one in order to upgrade. So meaning that when we unlock the IDM, we can lock it again or store again the encrypted passphrase with a newer algorithm. So that's it. Any more questions for Paulo?
Yeah. So just briefly, I'm not super familiar with how like WebAuthn stuff works, but I imagine the things like using a fingerprint or a face or whatever are not really going to play nicely with the other things you have in mind, right? Because if you use, like, either you're gonna use something to as an encryption layer over your private keys, like you're gonna use an scrypt password, or you're gonna use some public key encryption thing,
Mm-hmm.
or it's going to be clear text and it's protected by some authentication mechanism like a FA. But if you allow it to do both, then you default down to the clear text one. So you may need to like limit which WebAuthn things you can actually use.
Yep. I haven't actually explored it much, but we have discussed some scenarios. For instance, when you are authenticating to an app, we obviously want to ensure that you are the real one behind the IDM, even if the IDM is unlocked. And that might require a passphrase in some cases, and in others, Touch ID, just Touch ID. So we haven't quite defined, but we are aware of what you said. Also, the WebAuthn, I tried it. I actually tried it in the plane, like implementing in the plane when the flight back to Portugal. And there's an issue there's an issue, but there's a solution, of course. The issue is that the spec relies on a server, so the server actually plays a role in the whole flow diagram, meaning that we must have a server. But I mean, the IDM wallet doesn't have a server, right? It just runs on your local browser, but we can implement a service worker that acts as a server, right? Like receiving requests and responding to those requests. That's how WebAuthn works, unfortunately, but we can get around it by doing a service worker. Okay.
Cool.
Any more questions? Okay, so we are past the schedule, but we actually are approaching the end. So there's a final point about questions, like global questions that you want to, to ask. So if you have any, it's the time now. No questions?
Oh, real quick, I was just going to ask, I haven't really looked at all the repos in a couple of days or maybe a week, and are there tasks and milestones set up for external contributors to pick up?
Yeah, so essentially it's all within the PM IDM. I will share my screen so to be easier. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go into the repo, there's like a brief summary of a lot of things. And one of the topics is milestones and progress.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I could have read this.
No problem. So we have a work plan document with, detailed milestones and objectives for each milestones. Also, we have this progress call every 2 weeks. Actually, this one was on Thursday, but usually it's on Monday. But because of the reboot Well of Trust, I couldn't attend, and also João couldn't, so we scheduled for today. Also, we use GitHub for everything, or almost everything. So if you look into the projects tab, you'll find a Scrum board. And inside the Scrum board, you see that we organize our tasks within, boards and columns. And that's mostly it. The design material, we kind of are in a transition phase because, GitHub is not really suitable for designers to collaborate, in the sense that designers are not really profitable with Git. So there's a barrier there. And we are kind of, migrating or transitioning to something like a Google folder, a shared Google folder that is open to anyone, and put the design material there. And, the naming of the files, present in that folder will be meshed or is defined here in the filling system document. Also, you have some repositories listed here. Some repositories are not created yet because we are in early phases of the project, but they will eventually be created. And yeah, that's mostly it. So if you have any questions regarding most of the things about IDM you can find here in the README. If you can't, it means that we need to improve it. So create an issue about that, and we'll probably put that in the README as well.
Thanks a lot.
Any more questions? So also, let me just say one more thing. We use IRC, so we are on Freenode, and the channel is IPFS. What's that symbol like?
Hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag IPFS, and then dash identity. Sorry, hashtag IPFS dash identity. So also you can go there, ask us anything, and we'll answer on IRC. So I think we are past schedule. So thank you very much for everyone to participating. We'll be having all these calls every 2 weeks, except that from now on, they will be on Monday at the same time. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Bye.
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 You guys.